Hello guys, and welcome back to another set of battles here on the NA server. I'm your host Lucas X, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys one of the most hated maps on this server. It is Golden Channel, and for those of you guys who don't know the name, you definitely know the look, and this look of this map definitely brings back some bad memories for most of you guys out there. But hopefully this video will help dive down into details and get some explanations to what's the winning formula for this map. And before you say capping and holding the cap, yes, I'm going to go through that, but I'm going to definitely emphasize it more with some visual representation of what we mean by cap and holding the cap, and what's the right ways in order to discern your situation as well as perform situational awareness on this map and everything else. So we're hoping to go through 4 different scenarios, which is the reason why this video is 20 minutes long. There's going to be 2 scenarios in North Carolina, 1 short scenario in the Colorado, and then a full scenario in the Oregon. So if you want to kind of skip around and see all 4 scenarios, it's all up to you. But definitely share this video with your friends if you feel like they definitely should see this video, because it's definitely going to be giving some good pointers, and I'm definitely going to be emphasizing a lot of points about holding and protecting the cap. What's the most effective way of doing such in this video. So stick around for as long as you can. We're going to go ahead and get started, as I'm going to go ahead and already apologize to veteran North Carolina players, because there's a few shots in this game and other games you're going to see that you're going to be like, that was a good shot, and there's a few of them you're like, no, that's not it. That's not how you play North Carolina. That's not how you do it. That's, you know, that's not at all what you should be doing in North Carolina. Trust me, believe me, this was before the 1.7 update, and this was also before I really understood the ship, so forgive me in advance. But luckily, I do end up getting a citadel off my first shot on the Iowa. They've already been called to go and get the base, so luckily I have my destroyers in the middle ready to decap the base whenever necessary. As I begin to scope in the battleships off in the distance, I'm going to take a hurried shot against the Amagi, because I see the Oregon is starting to overtake the Amagi, and I don't want my auto aim switching to the Oregon and messing up my shot. Unfortunately, I only get 2 shells on him. Luckily, it's better than nothing had the auto aim switched completely. Now, this is where my situational awareness kicks in. I'm seeing the Fletcher off to my right here, and I'm not sure if he's already launched torpedoes or if he's got torpedoes with him or not. So I'm gonna go ahead and back off and bow into him, so that way if he launches torpedoes, I'm not gonna take all 5. I'll take maybe 2 or 3. And luckily he mismanages his torpedoes, so he fires them a little bit too early, smokes to get away. I fire 1 more salvo with my secondaries to see if I'm gonna hit him. I give up on that after that point, and I see the Iowa off to the distance going to the rock formation. I'll go ahead and aim at him with my bowing guns, but here is where that area is probably one of my pet peeves on the map. That area, in my opinion, is meant more for retreating. Let's say you're on the flank with a bunch of ships, and the whole flank gets decimated for whatever instance. You're there with another destroyer, another cruiser, and the whole flank gets decimated. That rock formation, in my opinion, is so you can pull around that rock formation, reset your stealth and reset your camo, get back to your teammates without being killed and being sniped by the battleships that are trying to look for you nearby. You can reset your camo and everything else behind the rock formation. It is not meant for you to go back behind that rock formation and then try to come around for a flank, because essentially you've basically handicapped your team. Remember, that Iowa is tier 9. He's supposed to be carrying the map against the tier 8s, the match against the tier 8s. He's behind the rock formation, essentially handicapping his team. So yeah, eventually I get to the point where I'm going to kind of put a few more shots into them, kind of to keep them off the flank and keep them from engaging, coming down the middle as much as possible. But I'm going to eventually just give up on trying to actually attack them. I send 1 last salvo in the Iowa's direction, and now I'm looking off to the left because Bino has just called for help. And also, here's a good reason why Bino's called for help, and I noticed the reasoning is really good reasoning. The Iowa and the Fletcher have essentially made themselves irrelevant, because they have made this match a 4v7. Because now that most of our ships are near the middle or in the middle, we can go ahead and charge the 4 ships down the middle and kill them. And then when we're done killing them, the Iowa and the Fletcher, in order to win the match, must come to engage us in the middle of the map. So not only is the cap going to be in our favor at that point, but we're also going to have the numbers advantage as well. So there's so many pros to that situation. And a lot of people don't realize that, because a lot of people are very reactionary to the type of stuff like this. Now, as I'm scoping in to shoot this North Carolina off in the distance, I'm still looking around to see what's around me, of course. But as I scope back in, I'm going to notice something as I scope back into the North Carolina. I'm going to notice there's a bunch of torpedoes heading off into his direction. And there's a reason why I'm switching from the Amagi, from him to the Amagi. Here's why. I noticed there's a good beat on those torpedoes, and there's a lot of them in the water, and it's definitely going to take out that North Carolina. Had I shot, I may have gotten a little bit of damage, but it would have made much more sense to shoot the Amagi since there was already torpedoes in the water, and I knew the torpedoes had good beat on them. No need of wasting shots on an already potentially dead ship, if you know what I'm saying. Better to go ahead and spread that damage to ships that are going to be more so a threat than a ship that I know is going to go down to torpedoes anyways, wasting salvos. Go ahead and launch a pretty hurried salvo against the Amagi. Led the shot just a little bit too much as I tried to broadside just a bit to try and get the attention away from Bino before he dies. But unfortunately, he ends up flooding out, and I don't end up getting to save him. But luckily, his death was not in vain, because look at the score. It is 558 to 268. The only way the red team could come back and win this match is if they were to kill all of us. But is that possible with only 30 seconds left? It really isn't. And this is where capturing and keeping the base comes to a really big importance, because had we not held this base, we would have to probably starve them to get kills. But at this point, I'm just farming because I noticed the cap margin is so wide and there's no way they can kill us all in that time frame. So I'm just just getting as much damage as I can with the last 10 seconds I have left. Now that Fletcher, he may have done a lot of damage, who knows, but it was all for nothing because the cap was way in our favor and he's still off fighting a flank. It really was no help to the team. He handicapped his team the whole time, and so this is where, that type of play really doesn't help anyone in the end. It does get you good damage, maybe, but it really doesn't help your team in the end, really, to secure the match. And just look at that wall of skill as we jump into this next match. Wow, that is a lot of torpedoes in the water. Yeah, I would not want to be in the middle of that. And you can see how bad that was with the potential 2 floodings you see on the 2 bots out in the middle. This was a tier 9 match that's also been up-tiered into. I'm going to go ahead and aim at the Wichita, since the Wichita is giving me the best profile of them. Normally, I don't try to aim at bots first, but since it's giving me such a juicy broad profile on the broadside, I have to go ahead and aim for him. Luckily, I get a decent salvo while the torpedoes go ahead and finish him off. And now I'm going to see the Ron and the Izumo out in the middle as I begin to scope and aim for them. They got a little bit of Valentine's Day action going out there in the middle. I'm not going to say anything really much about that. But I'm going to aim into the bow part of the Izumo, normally where his ammo is, so that way I can possibly get a Citadel if I can get the guns to arc in. Luckily, I do. Citadels here are a little bit more RNG based, so it depends on the angle of the ship, the caliber of your guns, and your aiming, so on and so forth. But I'm going to continue aiming at the Izumo because he's still giving me a pretty hefty broadside here. And the shells go off from the North Carolina, and bam, that Izumo's gone. Just the way I like him, beneath the ocean. And as I begin scoping back in toward the Ron to try and scope, and I'm scoping back and forth just to check to see if he's turning or any little small adjustments I need to make to my aim. As I'm making those small adjustments, eventually the auto aim decides, hey, let me just get the Benson for you. You think you want to shoot the Benson? No, I don't want to shoot the Benson. I want to shoot the Ron. Let me shoot the Ron. And eventually I give up because it's just auto aim system. So I was like, okay, well, let's just go ahead and start actually moving into the base, because if I can move into the base, help these guys start pushing these low health ships. It's a 4v4. I'd rather not be in the back, and plus the North Carolina guns are much more effective a little bit at mid-range compared to trying to fire at the past the 10-kilometer range at times. So I'm starting to move in, help the team out as much as possible to get something going here, to finish off this match as much as possible. I see the Ron on the distance, trying to see if somebody's going to get him. Luckily, Baby J does, and he manages to finish him off. I see the North Carolina flooding out the distance as I begin to line up the shells, lining up all my guns, scope in to see how far he is, give him a little bit of lead there. All the shots go off. I'm looking to see what that Kangaroo is doing, because I definitely don't want torpedoes off in my direction at all from that thing. Flooding is something I definitely don't want in this ship. And here is the Benson off to the left. He takes out one of the... Was that a bot? Who knows? But I'm trying to use his arming distance for his torpedoes against him. So I'm trying to get really close by trying to ram him if I can. But I kind of overplay the situation a little bit too much, and I end up taking a set of torpedoes for that. Luckily, I did have my damage control party ready, on standby, so that way I could take the shells and take them easily. And as I do, he pulls around. I'm beginning to secondary him down to see if I can get the secondaries in. I'm not going to aim the main guns yet to waste them. I'm going to wait till he completely gets broadside. And this is where patience with a battleship comes into play. Wait until he gets complete broadside toward me. When he does, wait for the shells to go green, fires, and he's gone. beautifully done. Beautifully done by the North Carolina. She's a beautiful ship all around, and this is one of the reasons why I love her that much. As we begin to look around for the Kangaroo, I'm not sure where he is in this time. I just know last time we saw him, he was somewhere near the cap, so I'm not sure if he actually moved into the cap yet. So I'm going to start getting away from broadside and starting to bow in toward the middle, just in case he decided to come in the cap, and actually he is, based off that mini-map. Luckily, he's nowhere near me, but I see that old captain is starting to engage him. I'm going to scope in to see where that Kangaroo is, and luckily it looks like the torpedoes might finish him off. I'm just going to watch from the scope. And yes, he does finish him off, and that is a GG from him to finish off that match. Really pretty well played match all around. And off to another match here. This one is in the Colorado this time. And I want you guys to do a quick favor for me. Look at that mini-map. I know it's kind of small on the screen, but look at the mini-map. There's 3 ships left, correct? Where are they? Yeah, I don't know either. And this is probably one of the most frustrating things I would probably say for a lot of teams on this map. You have 3 ships that may be about full health, and you have no clue where they are. Now, I know that this is definitely the destroyer, because nothing's going to get in there that quick. That's definitely the destroyer decapping the base, but look at the time. It's 40 seconds left, and it's 500s against 200s. The match is already in our favor. It's literally too late for you to cap, so even by decapping, it's all fruitless. Because at this point in the match has already been somewhat decided. And look at where these ships are. By the time these 3 ships even reach into the range of engaging with me, the game is over. 19 seconds to go, and I'm only really fighting this Farragut for basically the last bit of damage I can cause in the match. Fire a few AP shells his way, and I'm going to kind of slowly but surely kind of skate by some of these torpedoes. But I mean, yeah. It just happens when you're off in the distance. If you're not helping your teammates and you're off flanking, you really don't serve any help to your team, honestly. And that happens. You just gave the match to us. There you go. And last but not least, I have one of my favorite cruisers in the game to begin with. Next to the Takao. The Takao is probably one of my favorite cruisers, but we have the Prince Eugen, the Tier 8 premium cruiser. That is the sister ship to the Hipper, for those of you unfamiliar with her origin history, but I won't get all the way into the history of the Eugen either. That's for another day, another time. We're also going to be on this map as well, and I believe this is probably I would say my best played game, but this is definitely probably one of the best played games you're going to see within a series of games, in a sense. I just excel and love cruisers so much, and hopefully to give you guys a little bit of some destroyer deletion action here. Here's what I normally do in the Eugen. For ships like those destroyers up front, which is kind of annoying because you see auto-aim kind of pivoting back and forth, I want my shells to kind of arc down and get there. Yep, I want those shells to kind of plunge a bit. Because you notice some people are like, oh man, they overpin destroyers all the time. Actually, no. If you can get AP at a distance, you can see how much. Those are 931 rolls. The ship in general, the highest you can roll in the Eugen is 991. I'm rolling 900 rolls almost every time, so they're not overpinning. You have to allow your shells sometimes to plunge, so it's within that 6 kilometer range. Normally you can get your shells to plunge down on those destroyers, getting them killed. Now this Fletcher's going to make the wrong move of coming out. He decides to stop and try to play World of Tanks, try to stop behind the curve there. But unfortunately he gets caught out before he hits his stealth. And I end up getting the shot there. The Tashkent comes out in the middle. Definitely easy prey there. Unfortunately, I won't be able to bring him down, but I do get to see him go down before I get my guns up. Coming around this Iowa, who is bracking up, basically not really watching what's behind him. I can understand when you're in the battle like that. Sometimes you're just trying to angle up your artillery, but this kind of puts me in a spot where now I'm trying to spot, but you're kind of stopping me from spotting. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can do my best to get around this guy, trying to aim at the Benson way out in the distance. I believe this is a yeah, 1 shell hits. Not bad, but could have led the shot a little bit more. Trying to rush the shots out, trying to get rid of this Benson. Because once the Benson is gone, the battleships are basically free to start brawling with the other ships that are in the cap circle or around the cap circle. They don't have to worry about torpedoes anymore unless it's from a cruiser. And I don't think there's really any cruiser that's really going to pose a threat to them like that. So I've noticed the push has already begun in the middle. The Iowa is way behind me. I'm going to go ahead and leave him in the back there for a little bit to deal with that Benson as he comes up, in case he decides to pop up again. I see the Turpits off in the back, and I'm going to go ahead and shoot a few shells in his direction and go ahead and soften him up for the battleships that might be aiming at him as well. Scoping in and out to kind of see if he's turning, angling, or anything that might necessarily need me to change the way I'm aiming myself. Not exactly, not bad rolls. Most of the shells hit. He's at low health. Trying to see if we can get that low roll to get rid of him. Nope, someone else ends up getting the kill. And while I am scoping in this Eugen in the back, yep, I just noticed the Iowa is way off to my left. He is in torpedo range, so I don't have to move too much. And this is where I love the German Archer torpedoes. I do take a Citadel for my negligence of not noticing him earlier or paying attention. But I'm going to go ahead and launch 2 torpedoes in his direction anyways. And I'm going to go ahead and begin this nice and beautiful turn on the Eugen in order to get the next set of salvos off. Because this is how well the German Arc can almost be abused in a sense. I've already begun the ship turn. White lining. See where the white line is. And I'm launching the other salvo while staying somewhat angled up against the island right there. So if he does shoot again, he might get a Citadel, but he's not going to get most of the damage he would normally get, say, if I was sitting completely broadside to him. Unfortunately, someone else gets him before the torpedoes get there, and now I'm seeing the Benson. I'm cutting speed again, getting ready to perform another maneuver. I know the torpedoes are on the way. I kind of forgot that, yes, I just launched torpedoes on that side, so I don't have anything to kind of, tell them to back off real quick. Some area denial torpedoes. And I have to begin the long turn around here to juke the torpedoes he has in the water. I take one, and I'm trying to put the back end guns on him while we're trying to finish off the last 2 ships out in the middle. Yep, and we're trying to get rid of that Benson, but unfortunately he manages to escape going sideways. I'm hoping that he turns at least a little bit broadside, which he kind of does. And I try to lead the target just enough. The shells kind of lands kind of scattered, so we get 2 shells out of that salvo. And trying to chase him out so I can get a shot off. But while I get around this island, unfortunately, he goes to stealth. And with the other ship dead, he basically spends the next 20 or so seconds hiding from the rest of us. He does not pop back out. And yeah, so hopefully this kind of clears up a little bit of how to play Golden Channel. What are some ways to play Golden Channel? And some different general tips as to the ships and how to play the certain ships and so on and so forth. Hopefully we can get more in depth and bring some more people on the YouTube with us. And for now, guys, I'm hoping you guys enjoyed the battles here on the NA server. I'm your host, LupusX, and I'm going to be signing off till next time. Hopefully we're going to be bringing you some more different battles from different perspectives. And if you'd like to see other things, leave a comment in the comment section or anything that you guys would like to see later on.